Coming to you from our opulent and luxurious 4x8 refurbished room closet at the national headquarters in Indianapolis. With duct tape studio lights and a mic that you barely can hear, we hope to entertain and educate you. This is the Tango Alpha LIma podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello, and welcome back to the Tango Alpha LIma podcast, which I believe Ashley thinks is number one, or at least she was giving me one finger earlier today, and I assume that means we're number one. I can't imagine.
You are number one.
We are number one. Yep, I'm joined as always by Jeff Daly, who is really hostile towards the rest of us right now. And Ashley Garbolja Maldonado, who I don't even know where to go with her, but she is high on the hog right now because our last guest praised her, which is never good for Jeff and I. But guys, how y'all doing?
Good. Fantastic.
I am doing outstanding. I'm still getting over that Ashley Fest that we got through, and hopefully there's room on the screen for all of us.
I think there's a lot of peanut butter and jelly going on right now. Peanut butter and jelly.
We're going to spend the bulk of this podcast discussing the Red Sox because we haven't done that enough yet today. Anyway, yeah, Jeff, what are you watching right now on Netflix or elsewhere?
What am I watching on it? Where was The Undoing? Was that HBO?
The Undoing.
I watched that. Yeah,
I haven't heard of that.
Nicole Kidman, I forgot she was still an actress, and but she did a really great job. And Hugh, what's his name?
Jackman? I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
Grant,
Hughes.
is that his name?
Hugh Laurie? Is that a guy?
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
know.
maybe that's not his name.
That's
Hugh Laurie's a guy.
I've been watching.
That's all I'm watching.
I've been watching Jack Ryan. Pretty good show. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I watched that back in the day.
Back when it came out, as opposed to because I'm going to start playing Pokemon Go any day now because I know that's big with the kids.
You know what I've been watching? Letterkenny on Hulu. Pitter patter, let's get at her. That's what I'm talking about. It's like I love my Canadian comedies. Hilarious, deep-rooted sarcasm. See if you'd love it.
Have you ever watched Hell on Wheels?
Yes.
No.
How was it, Jeff? Was it pretty good?
I liked it. You mean it's like the Western and the train building, train track building? Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to start tonight when I get home. So
you will like that because it's historical and
yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's what I was looking for was a historical. I started watching Frontier. It was all right. I might watch that the Apple Plus one where the guy who was in Game of Thrones can't see. I can't remember what it was called. Is it just called See or something? Where everyone's blind in this post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Oh yeah. I don't have Apple Plus, but I had seen it being advertised.
Yeah, I was looking to solicit some answers from you guys, and I didn't really get them. That's not shocking. Ashley's all about herself today, not helping anybody else out.
False. Fake news. No. Listeners, don't listen to Mark. No.
All right.
Nothing but cooperative.
In case you don't understand what we're laughing about, we had a earlier podcast today that was supposed to go 40 minutes and it went 2 hours. And that was largely a factor of myself and our guest going slightly off tangent to reminiscing about New England sports victories in the past 2 decades. So, yeah, there was some discussion of wrestling. It was very interesting, I assure you.
You thoroughly enjoyed yourself. You probably could have talked all day.
I did. I've got my second win now, so I'm kind of amped up on life.
I see you ready to go.
I am. All right, let's go. Let's get into it because I've been sitting in this office far too long today. All right, topic one was kind of a funny story. I liked it. It was in Stripes, and it was about a Coast Guardsman in Greenland, a country that I have been to and loved immensely. And it starts, little did anyone expect a junior Coast Guard member's simple act of kindness would become a highlight of a summer exercise in the Arctic. The captains of the cutters Tahoma and Campbell could have declined to take seaman Kate Kilroy, who had not yet attended an occupational school or earned a job-specific rate, on an 85-day mission to the polar region to document their patrols and exercises with allies. But they decided to take a chance on her. By the end of the summer, they were happy they did. While Campbell was at port in Greenland's capital city of Nuuk, Kilroy visited a diner where she saw a stranger sitting alone and bought him a meal, just as she would have done in the small North Carolina town of Apex outside Raleigh, where she was raised. It's just something I do, she said. I grew up in a family that routinely gives to others. The stranger turned out to be Greenland's Prime Minister, Kim Kielsen. We had a nice conversation, Kilroy said. I was in the right place at the right time doing what I do. That's all. I like this story because it shows what a junior enlisted person can do. Like, of all the exercise and everything they did with the military in Greenland and everything else, the thing that's going to be remembered is this junior enlisted Coast Guard girl buying a lunch for someone who randomly turns out to be the Prime Minister. What'd you think of this one, Jeff?
I think that it's a testament to, in your skill set, always having good pickup lines and the ability to buy someone dinner and or a drink, because you never know the benefit of what that's going to do. So now the next time I'm out and I purchase something for a lucky young lady and she looks at me and says, I have a boyfriend, I'm like, I wasn't trying to do that. I'm just trying to create international relations that will benefit the world and humanity as we know it. And I have this Kate Kilroy to thank. Thank you, Kate Kilroy. Thank you, Coast Guard, for making my social life post-COVID, whenever that happens, that much better.
My face hurts so much right now because I'm smiling so hard. International relations? Man, I can't wait to see your pickup lines on Facebook, brother. Like, I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, we've got it. We've got to sit in the back.
How much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice?
We have to write down everything Jeff says. It will be spectacular. Ashley, what did you think of this story? Nice story, right?
Yeah, I think it's really uplifting. I think that acts of kindness do not go unnoticed, and you never know like who you're gonna meet. And I know there's the saying, like, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you, right? So like thinking about that relationship in the big context of the public relations standpoint, to the values of our servicemen and women, to just being kind human beings at the root. So, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter your position or title. Anyone can be a leader and anyone can be kind. And I think this is really nice. Like, I saw this come through for the due out for today, and I was like, this is some good news. Like, that's so cool. And you're absolutely right. That training, like, poof, like, this is going to be like the thing that's remembered. Hey, you remember that time I did? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like somebody was talking about the strategic corporal on my Facebook page. Like this one low-level Coast Guard pretty much obviated the need for the entire training exercise. Like, we've got a better relationship with Greenland, which, Greenland's a very important area strategically right now with what we've got going on in the Arctic and everything else. But, I thought it was a real nice story. The fact that it's going to help Jeff's dating life is also going to help us all indirectly. Like this is
beneficial, brother. Yeah.
And this is like the butterfly wings that starts the tsunami in China. Like, Kate Kilroy out of where was Apex outside Raleigh has now turned Jeff's dating life not into the moribund corpse that it's been up to now. Now he's a living legend in his own mind.
Moral of the story here is people take care of people. Well, that's true.
I'm just saying, like Ashley said, everyone can be kind, and that lesson is now taught on me because I don't learn it from you two. So it took the Coast Guard to teach me.
Coming from the man who's like literally dogs Ohio all the time. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna put that in the story basket. Can we add that to the bingo card? Producer Holly, let's do it.
Producer Holly's already mad at us for going 2 hours into our half-hour segment. All right. Well, we will, since we've been here for all of 3 minutes now, we will take our first ad break and be back with you in just a minute. Dee-da-lee, dee-da-lee.
Did you know the American Legion magazine is the most frequently read periodical in the nation? True story. Find out why by joining today at legion.org/join.
And we come back to Jeffrey taking a nap. Did you have something to add, Jeffrey?
No, I was napping. It was our break.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm telling you, I like the sweatshirt. The sweatshirt is awesome.
Kalamazoo College in the great state of what, Ashley?
Michigan.
There you go, fighting hornets. What up?
Kalamazoo sounds like such a made-up name. Not gonna lie.
Fun story.
All names are made up.
A woman that I grew up with as a small child, her name was Cookie Kalamazoo, and literally she was at my wedding, like grew up next to me, has known me my entire life, the sweetest like Ukrainian woman that like grew up with my family. Her name was Cookie Kalamazoo, and I'm serious. That's real.
She's Ukrainian and has a Native American middle name.
Last name.
That's
her last name is Kalamazoo.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm 100% serious. Like,
wow,
this is a woman who like has known me since like birth. Knew my parents. Lived next door to my parents' first home when they were like newlyweds / new parents. Like best memory, and the first time I ever swore, and you guys will enjoy this, was on record from Miss Cookie Kalamazoo. And you know, she said, I was trying to climb over her fence. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. Trying to climb over a big old like 4-foot fence, really like taking on obstacles, you know, as a child, preparing for, you know, combat course and all those other things later on in the Army, right? So I was scaling the wall, and she comes over and she goes, "What are you doing? What would your father think of this?" And I guess my response was, I don't think he'd like give a shit. Or it's something along those lines. And she was like, I was just like I was just an innocent kid, no idea. So that's my fun story about Cookie Kalamazoo, a person I know who's grown up and loves me and came to my wedding a few years back, and she's still rocking it. And she's
Kalamazoo doesn't strike me as a traditional Ukrainian name, but I'm a fan. Yeah. We may or may not be slightly off topic here. Ashley, tell us.
Well, speaking of some cool stuff other than my awesome stories, this one is wow. And I have all the images pulled up. This great story that was on Military Times. Ralph Lauren, the designer, okay, for all of my fashionistas, fashionos, whatever who are out there, Ralph Lauren ripping off military clothing. So if you have not looked at this, please check out the Military Times. There are photos to go along that catalog. So for all of us who ever had the Whoopee in like liner jacket that like went in and like for a long time they ended up like DXing it and you had to like give it back, right? Like exactly like Jeff's background. It's literally the jacket liner. Like it's like verbatim. It's crazy. It
used to have buttonholes on the inside that you put it into your jacket.
Yeah, it wove in there. And I know like people who swear by it and they love it. And there were like folks who didn't want to turn it in when they said, hey, like it's time to go with all that old stuff, right? And they were like, no. So it's like the same thing with the Whoopee that like Jeff has behind him. So like if you look at some of these photos, there is a jacket with like the old BDU pattern. You've got airman kind of like aviator kind of like flight jackets. Like it's like the equivalent of like Maverick from like having like the aviator jacket, but these ones have like very like close similar patchwork to what you would see on some of like our uniforms. And in the proper kind of positions, if I'm not mistaken.
No, like they were back. The only thing that was back, because they say R. Loren on like, but on the wrong side. They've got it. The name tag is on the left, and then like the unit stuff is on the right, which is backwards from the way we were in the. But it literally looks like uniforms.
Yeah.
And it's now high fashion.
Yeah. There's one on here. It's a wool cashmere peacoat. And it's literally, and I quote, it says, Ralph Lauren's new wool cashmere peacoat will have you feeling like the saltiest of all seafaring mariners, minus the salt. Ralph Lauren. That is literally how they queued this up. And it looks like one of the West Point jackets with the buttons down the center. And then it's got like the rank and like the anchor. And I'm like, oh man, like someone's going good angry.
So Jeff, you already obviously own all of this. You own the entire catalog. So let's discuss what you think of this.
All right, let's just talk about you did read from the thing, so I'm gonna read the first sentence of the thing. The conglomeration of salmon, pant, and polo shirt and suit enthusiasts simply cannot resist the mere sight of camouflage. Now, I don't want to call them stolen valor, but I was trying to think of a word in fashion that would rhyme with valor, but it's that. Now, it kind of infuriates me. You didn't talk about price either. That field jacket and reversible liner thing, $498. Casual price, $498. And I will tell you this, and you brought this up, that people get the Whoopie and they don't turn them in because they want them forever and ever and ever. I did that. Statute of limitations. You can't come get it from me. It's mine now. But I will say this about the military. This seemed really expensive, but I remember going to boot camp, and I always had a mathematical, don't mess with my money kind of mind. And I sat there and I was like, man, we're going to get this check when I get out of here, and I'm going to go home to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and have a good time, right? And when I got my check, there was such a huge number taken away for things like, not the Whoopie, but like your uniform and your boots. Yeah. They charge you for that. So any civilians out there who think, oh, you get paid and you get all this gear. And no, they charged me for those boots and those camis. And now I think it's high time. That these yuppie, that we don't say yuppie anymore, whatever you want, hipsters are paying good money for this. But I think that the USRL Air Squadron, yep, it's a real thing. They put it on their clothes. The USRL Air Squadron should donate some of this money back to veterans' causes. I'm calling them out today. It's Giving Wednesday, because that's when these shows come out. It's got Giving Wednesday. I think USRL Air Squadron should donate some of these profits to military things. It's ridiculous. And like you said, it looks like a uniform. Do some pink like inside or something Ralph Lauren would do and make it. I like the military worship aspect of it. They probably don't think of it as that, but that's what it is. You're latently worshiping the military, and we appreciate it. And that's all I got. I can't. I'm not one to engage in random acts of violence against people I don't know, but I think if someone walked by me wearing that stuff, I would 100% lose it. Oh my God, I can't tell you how skeevy all that crap looks to me. Like, if I saw someone walking around in that, no. Is it likely in Indianapolis that you'll see this?
I hope not. If I see someone walking around in that navy peacoat thing, there is no way I'm not going to stick my boot somewhere. It's terrible.
It's so weird too, because like even in some of the dialogue, like even that first sentence that Jeff wrote, like it goes on to saying like oftentimes sends creative minds behind the company's fashion lines into a hungry hipster feeding frenzy, the likes of which only Bon Iver and one of the 3 Dandelion Lemongrass IPAs can soothe. Like, first of all, can we just appreciate the writing on this?
Like, Military Times did do this right. They did this story right. It's just this story infuriates me. I don't understand. It's like the guy fresh out of basic training who goes on leave and is wearing his uniform all over his hometown. It's like,
he's
dude,
wearing like his
take
PC
that crap off. Yeah.
I have apologized for that. I have apologized for that numerous times. Now I didn't look at the pictures. Please tell me there is no replica of my beloved Marine Corps dress blues, because I will blues it.
They've got everything. They've got
blues it.
Super producer Holly just sent us a picture of their Space Force version,
It's like it looks kind of like an astronaut, like kind of, it's weird. You know, you've seen like the astronaut suits. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit, and it's got like the red line, and it's got like the logo with like the kind of Space Force look, and it says Polo Ralph Lauren, but it kind of like looks like, I don't know. It's
I'm gonna
fascinating.
CV. I'm gonna calm you down for a little bit. I think that we're really underestimating the Ralph Lauren crowd. When you go into the fierce battle of a polo match where the horse does 90% of the work, you feel that battle, and now you can express that polo fighter inside of you.
I would imagine that most of the people wearing this crap are playing Quidditch with their imaginary like brooms that fly around. Like, I don't know.
I don't see regular like Joes and Janes wearing this. Like, this is like elitist wear, and I don't know if the last was a check, but I don't think that there's a lot of folks that are in the top 1% that like end up being the 1% in the military, and I think that's changed over the decades, right? And obviously from enlisted officer, and like I feel like any sensible person, regardless of rank and branch at this point, would be like, why? No.
I challenge anyone to walk into their post on a random bar night wearing that. Yeah. I want to see that.
Yeah.
I welcome feedback. Yes.
Yeah. That's like a Borat costume. Like, you don't actually wear that out on purpose. Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, very nice. Oh, that's
all right, Jeffrey, we are up to you, my friend. What do you got for us today?
Oh my God! Do you remember Sesame Street or the Electric Company and or?
Yeah.
Well, this segment is brought to you by the number 48. That just hit me, by the way. I did not plan that at all.
Well, at least you have that excuse later.
The American Legion had huge news recently. This huge news was they are in a partnership with Jimmy Johnson Racing. And the American Legion, by the way, I have not been the most ardent Indy car fan, even though I'm from Michigan, and CV thinks that because Henry Ford revolutionized car production.
That's super producer Holly.
I'm supposed to know all about racing because cars are made in Detroit. And she's putting Chip Ganassi on there for me. Chip Ganassi Racing is the team behind all of this, and Jimmy Johnson and Tony Kanan, I'll say his name too, because he's on the paper here.
I think
they're going to have sponsorship from the American Legion after signing a multi-year agreement with the organization. This is, and I'm going to quote from the national commander himself. I'm not going to try to do his North Carolina accent because that would be, it would not go well for me. I would sound like somebody that can't do that. But this is a truly win-win for all involved, said James W. Bill Oxford, National Commander of the American Legion. Teaming up with Chip Ganassi Racing allows the American Legion to showcase how it strengthens America every day through its programs, advocacy, and support of veterans and their families. We're looking forward to bringing that message and our mission to race fans across the country. And they've already started. We had our first Giving Tuesday with them, and apparently it was a big success. CV, you are in Indianapolis, where actually you should be a fan of racing. What is your take?
Yeah, as far as racing goes, I drive my Jeep about 3 miles under the speed limit at all times. Like, there are grandmothers that are flying by me on the highway, and I'm like, slow down, you crazy kids. Like, I am just so not the motorsports guy. And as you know, because I talked to you about it this weekend, when they said we were teaming up with Jimmy Johnson, I literally thought it was the former Dallas Cowboy coach. I thought it was the white-haired guy. Like, so this, I'm not really the target demographic, but I also get why we're doing this. Race fans are rabid. They have disposable income. Their demographic is exactly what we're looking for. And I think it's great that we're able to get out. You know, we've done partnerships in the past that were perhaps a little too on point with what we have. The whole thing about the racing is that instead of just sponsoring the team, it's basically like a media buy. we're putting our product in front of people who are able to buy our product, but who might not necessarily be a part of the program. I'm all for it. I don't know anything about racing. Will I watch it? Yeah, probably. If I see that somebody is about to win in the American Legion car, yeah, I'll turn it on. I just don't know anything about motorsports. Like I here in Indianapolis, all I really know about the Indianapolis 500 is that when it's happening, I need to be in my house because traffic stinks and it goes in one direction on all the roads. It's a nightmare here. But Ashley, I've been wrong before when I found out you were a huge wrestling fan and you like to smoke cigars. Do we continue with that theme here, or do you know as much as Jeff and I do about motorsports?
I do not know a whole lot about motorsports. I have a good friend who is a former Marine, or there's no such thing as a former Marine, right? Who was a previous guest on the show. Remember Tanner?
Yeah.
Tanner used to, I believe, do some work on with NASCAR and some other like racing stuff. He would be like, I'd be like default 2, but I know a few people who have worked in the arena from a like production producing standpoint. That's about as far as it goes for me. That wasn't something I grew up with. Right. But I do know folks who love it. Like, love it. I know a work colleague of mine, a mentor when I was at the University of Akron, her and her family, like, that was like tradition. They used to go down to Daytona and like they would just drink and watch laps, and they loved it. They loved everything about it.
I like the fact that Holly tried to, was bulking us up on this, and she's like, he's the Tom Brady of motorsports. It's like, if it's Tom Brady, like she said that, I was ready to go.
For Holly just dropping in right now and just laying it down because she was real passionate.
Holly, we were talking about.
You guys. Oh.
We were talking about fashion in the earlier segment, and nothing fashionable has happened since Tom Brady sold UGG boots. Like, that was the last time I was interested in fashion. But now I'm all in on Jimmy Johnson, who is not the former Cowboy coach, and his racing. And I don't actually know where one even finds this, but okay, I'm all in.
Fun fact: they do make like male Uggs for men.
They make the what?
They make male like boots, like Uggs for men.
I would think that that's what Tom Brady was.
Is that
I don't
the
know
one?
If you know
okay,
that he's a man.
I know that he's like a mythical
man,
unicorn.
Baby. He's all
Mark.
man.
It's like.
Well, you guys, I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna say it to the world. I have personal experience in motorsports, and out of college. This is one of my first gigs out of college. I drove across the country the Hershey's Kissmobile.
Wow.
It is what you think it is. It's 3 giant Hershey Kisses that make up 3 parts of the truck. The front
like
is
the
cab, the middle is the
kind of like.
I will get there. The middle is the multimedia, and the back is the freezer. We drag raced the Wienermobile on a drag strip, and in North Carolina, we drove that thing on a racetrack, and you've never been so scared as to see a top-heavy promotional vehicle take those turns with that angle, because it's not flat.
No,
there's an angle, and we stayed at the bottom, and we went we drove
slow.
CB speed, and then when I was leaving, this guy walked by and he slapped the side of it and then gave me a high five, and he said something smart that Hershey didn't like, probably something about Hershey Highway or something. Like, they hated any references to anything like that. And I found out it was Dale Earnhardt Jr. later that I had high-fived. Yeah, I had high-fived him. And so, yeah, even though I kind of was going on earlier that I'm not really the prototypical motorsports fan, I do have a little bit of history in motorsports.
Wow.
So now I'm going to have to tune in again now that we're going to have our own car. I'm very excited. The 4 pillars, the 4 tires. I just can't wait.
I like Holly, super producer Holly, pitching in with it's a 24-degree bank at Charlotte Speedway. Because
Holly, please join us. You are so on point right now, love.
Literally, it's like Stephen Hawking talking to kids at like a special needs school about all this stuff. Like, you're way out of our league. I don't know what a 24 degrees bank is, and I don't know. I was actually thinking
about what is she talking about? Is that like a piggy bank? Did he drive car number 24? Like, I didn't understand what the heck she was talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, I think the key takeaway on this, though, is that the Legion's doing what it can to get out there to people who are eligible. The whole key here is market demographics and how deep you can get into that demographic. And hey, if it reaches new people, I'm all for it. Like, if somehow we got to get on some cooking show to get new Legionnaires, I'm all for it. I'm all for anything because I want us to be around for a while here.
I'm just picturing you in a chef hat with your ponytail and your beard.
I was watching for 3 seconds. My wife watches cooking shows all the time. And I stayed and watched a little bit because Anthony Anderson was on the show last night, and I love that guy. I don't know if you know who he is, but the actor Anthony Anderson, one of my favorite actors of all time. All right, well, we will go to our second ad break where Jeff and I will discuss all of our knowledge about NASCAR and IndyCar and racing Wienermobiles, and we'll be back in 15 to 20 seconds. Diddly, diddly.
If you care about disabled veterans and children in need, and we know you do, donate today to the American Legion Veterans and Children's Foundation. Any amount helps. Donate online at legion.org/donate.
Woo, that was an exhausting conversation, Jeff and I talking about all we know about sports and cars.
I didn't contribute much either.
I do know that I need to get a pit stop on the way home because my low tire thing keeps going off.
Change.
Yeah.
That was a race car.
In the winter, my tires are always flat because the air goes down or whatever.
Science.
And, yeah, I hate it. Science.
That's Tom Brady physics.
Working against you. That's right. It's It's the ideal gas law. Way to get me fired up.
Burn.
Yeah, that wasn't bad, Jeff. All right, let's go to rapid fire, which is going to be more rapid than fire. Here we go. Marines have an LSD problem, according to Stripes. LSD has been added to the list of drugs that are randomly tested for at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina amid suspicions that more and more Marines and sailors at the base are tripping, base officials said. We have a drug problem in the 2nd Marine Division, said the unit's commanding general, Major General Francis Donovan. In a statement Monday, we are changing the way in which we test for illegal substances. A series of drug-related incidents involving Marines and sailors was behind the decision to test for LSD in random screenings, the Corps said. In the past, Marines would typically only be screened for the hallucinogenic drug if there was probable cause. But all that changed following recent incidents, 2nd Marine Division said, without providing details. Anyone want to speculate on what details are involved in the LSD, Marines, sailors? Jeff, go.
I'm going to tell you this. They don't have to do random testing. All you have to do is look for somebody wearing those Ralph Lauren military-inspired fashioned outfits. And those are the people that are on something. I don't know if it's LSD or not. And I'll also say that I think had I been on LSD, I may have re-enlisted and just thought it was a great idea. And so thankfully I didn't get involved in that. I was in the 2nd Marine Division in Camp Lejeune. Major General Francis Donovan was probably a lieutenant at that point, but I don't remember any real big drug problem back then. I remember our biggest problem was the water supply, and so it's. I don't think they can be too mad at them. I mean, do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing. They let us drink effed up water. I guess people could take a little happy acid. I guess I don't know.
Ashley, what you got on this one?
As typically one of the only few female NCOs in sight, I have bared witness to all of the random testings because you have to have an observer with you.
Yeah.
So have fun. Like it's a lot. That's a lot. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I had a buddy, and we always used to volunteer to be the monitors on the P test, and we would try to make the new recruits as uncomfortable as possible, going, "Oh yeah, oh yeah," and then they would come up. and they would come up pee shy, and then you'd have to put them in the corner of the room to drink water and be like, come on back here, big boy. Yeah, we used to love it. Yeah, the pee test was kind of the most fun we would ever have, just for torturing new recruits. But
it was always the worst for me, I'm telling you, as a woman who had to be like because there was only always a scarce few, and typically what would happen is the person who was like authorized to be behind the table to like do all the sign off and stuff.
Yeah,
that was like, it was usually like, you know, another woman. So we were always down women. So like, and there was only, of course, like one stall for all of the women. So anyone like myself, having a last name Gorbolja, like I unfortunately was always randomly selected on these lists. But I think it's really interesting, you know, and it's crazy how like just those like little tip offs, and then all of a sudden like you test everyone, like you do 100%.
Right.
And in my professional career, I've only seen that like a handful of times, and typically it was just kind of like a rotational. Like we do, you know, I think it was like 10% or something like that, and then like at least once a year, every 2 years, we'd have 100%.
I don't know. I just don't. I mean, I don't testing LSD like. Who's taking LSD before a field training exercise? That just doesn't seem like a...
Obviously someone who's not well, or like thinks they can get away with it. You know what I mean? Like you and I were young privates. Like people used like to do stupid stuff, and that's why we have, you know, safety briefs. And now this is why they have to test for LSD because people were like, hey, they don't test for this. And it's just like, you know what I mean? You know, there was some E4 mafia with like, oh, well, I've never seen that before in my X number of years. And then they're like, you know, like that trickles down, and then, you know, discipline goes on the wayside, and, you know, sometimes people just get caught up in, you know, that kind of stuff, and they make bad choices, and unfortunately, like, that becomes an addiction. Like, who knows? You know, but the good thing is, like...
Do you remember the beginning of this segment? Ashley didn't have any comment. Now look at she.
Now
I want to know what you. I want to know what you took.
I didn't take anything. Oh my god.
I think LSD and hand grenades don't mix. That's all I'm saying. Like, just in general, I'm thinking LSD, if you're going to do it in the safety of your own home, maybe with the doors locked. Maybe not on the live fire range. That's all I'm saying.
Duty, not while you're, like, don't do any, like, listen, if you are having any sort of like addiction, any of these issues, I'm telling you that there are resources for you through your chain of command, because what'll happen is if anyone were to ever like pop hot with any of this stuff, they would either have to, like, say it was a prescription, right? So like a prescription, you pop hot, and then like you have to go to the doctor, get the prescription, whatever, and then they'll be like, okay, you have the blessing, you're fine. But in the event, like, and I'm in all seriousness, like I had a soldier who, she was very much so addicted to some things and was getting into some trouble outside of drill. And it was to the point where she was very much so delusional, and she would show up completely disoriented. Like there was clear signs, like might have been some personality stuff going on. She went like missing for a few days. She came back on the scene. So much so that this young lady at one point had, you know, what happened? She was like mixing a bunch of stuff, and then she popped hot, and then she went to like the counseling and all the things that were, you know, required, and then there were like minimum like consequences, because then she started seeking the aid from the resources. So know that like for anyone who knows anyone's out there, like there are always resources for help, but that's real. Like I had to deal with that as an NCO and mitigate and take care of her. And there was an instance where I was driving the bus and she was the last one to get off for a PT test, and I didn't know what she was on, but then I heard to come find out she was mixing like GNC or Vitamin Shop, like creatine, like, you know, stuff to go before she took a run. And I was coming down the steps, and I was like, are you feeling all right? Like, she looked at me, but she was like gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you've ever seen anyone fall out before, who just like, there's like a quick glimpse where like, oh, that doesn't look good. So all of a sudden she like falls into me while I'm coming down the steps of the bus. And, you know, this time it was just like GNC, like over, like she took enough supplement for like a grown 200-pound man. She was like 5'2" and maybe like 110 pounds wet. She literally her heart almost stopped. Like, I had to resuscitate. I'm serious.
Well, you guys are focusing on the negative. Think of the hand grenade of love. Peace, love, and
peace, love, unit, whatever. The kiss of death is typically what I had to do. Like, it's crazy.
I think my National Guard unit's motto was very much disoriented. I was all about very much disoriented, but tripping, I just, maybe a better time for it. Save your, I don't even know what form it comes in, but you got it.
Got it.
All right, here, a huge fan of this story. This is a story from The Hill. The Department of Defense and the Department of Treasury loaned $700 million to a company worth $70 million. The Congressional Oversight Commission overseeing COVID-19 relief funds excoriated the Department of Defense and Treasury Tuesday over a $700 million loan to a troubled shipping company. The Treasury Department and the Defense Department, which they spelled wrong, offered the loan in July when the company YRC Worldwide was reportedly worth just $70 million and had been sued by the Pentagon for overpriced shipping costs. Is this even slightly out of the ordinary from what we'd expect from the DoD?
Nah, it's a good way. No. Make sure you get your overpriced shipping costs back. Loan them 10 times their worth.
Can we just, I don't understand why the federal government doesn't have any sort of standard finance, who in their right mind would be like, all right, Jeff, you make $100,000 a year. Here's $1 million. Pay me back in 2 years. In what world does that make sense? But to the Department of Defense, and how this is COVID-19 related is completely beyond me. So next time you hear that they're fighting on Capitol Hill about whether unemployment should be extended, just remember the $700 million loan to YRC Worldwide. Crazy.
Maybe it was a stimulus.
Worldwide,
maybe it was a stimulus check.
It's a stimulus. All right. Rapid fire 3. This was an article in the Military Times that Jeff liked. This was Brian Talley's bill. Talley, a Marine Corps veteran injured in a medical malpractice case 5 years ago, has been lobbying for reforms at the Department of VA each of the last 2 Congresses. He has a pair of pending bills in the House and Senate. Obviously, the Senate and the House are about to adjourn from this and will come back in January, which means the bills only have a little bit of time to go through before they're going to expire. Talley, the basic story here is that he had gone to the VA and they had said, just take this medicine, you'll be fine. It was a problem with his back. Well, it turns out he had a really bad staph infection in his spine, basically, and so he filed a claim against the VA for malpractice, saying that the doctors should have ordered more tests. More than a year after working with different department officials on the claim, they were notified that the primary doctor involved in the case was an independent contractor, not a VA staffer. And the information was given to him after the statute of limitations had already passed for a state claim. So that means he's getting nothing. His state claim is gone. He thought it was a VA claim. It's not the federal government. So I lost my house. I lost my family's primary source of income, and VA just left me completely holding the bag. The VA is countering by saying that it is neither legal nor ethical for the department to advise a claimant of the law of a particular jurisdiction. Jeff, this was a story you were interested in. What do you got on this one?
There's a couple of things. First of all, the political process of where you have a bill that you're passionate about and you're trying to get through Congress, and it's a complex bill, and there's a lot of stakeholders involved, and to have to get through it in one congressional session, or you have to start from scratch every year. It's pretty frustrating to think that we, the people, who have to learn to navigate while we're doing these things, it's going to take up most of that congressional year. So it's frustrating to think that he has to go through all of this and then it just goes poof, vanish, and you have to start all over again. That's frustrating to me. It's frustrating to me that the Veterans Administration won't take responsibility, even though it is a subcontractor. If property management, which one of the things that I do here is I send a plumber into an apartment and he breaks a pipe and floods the apartment, the tenant's insurance, whoever is going to come to the building. We then in turn can sue the plumber, but the tenant is coming to us because we hired him, we authorized the work, we vetted supposedly, and we destroyed their property. So it's frustrating to me that the VA would take such a hard line on something like this when they subcontract a lot. That's part of their business model, if you will. So they need to take responsibility for their business model and the people that they bring into it. So to me, those are the two really frustrating things: the political process and the VA not really standing behind their business model that was designed by them.
Here's the thing. If you subcontract out, you are bound with that subcontractor for that scope of work. And for the VA to not take any responsibility for, or at least acknowledge that there's a kerfuffle with all that is amiss, right? Like, I'm flummoxed. Like, if I were this individual, I would be devastated, because not only has my health been impacted physically, now emotionally, and just all of the above, right? Like I would be mentally shot if I just saw that, like, okay, I'm losing my home. Like, I'm trying to say, like, hey, there's malpractice here for one of your contractors that you've entrusted because, you felt the need to subcontract it out, and now I'm having issues. And now you're going to tell me that you bear no responsibility to that subcontractor that we spent millions of dollars? Seems a little ass backwards to me personally. So, there.
I actually find myself on both sides of this one. I totally get where the VA is saying that they're not comfortable. It's neither legal nor ethical for the department to advise a claimant of the law in a particular jurisdiction. Totally agree with that. But I also totally agree with you guys. Like, this guy thought he was going to the VA. He went to the VA, and the VA said, go talk to this person. Unless they tell you right then, hey, here's a list of things. This guy's an outside contractor, so don't sue us for medical liability. You break it, you own it. This guy thought he was going to the VA. It's the VA. Subcontractor or no. I think they bear some responsibility. I agree with you guys. And good on this guy, though, Mr. Talley, because he gains nothing out of this. His statute of limitations is gone. He's not going to receive anything, but he saw a problem, and he's out there trying to fix it for people who get stuck in a similar situation in the future. So I applaud Brian Talley. I do kind of agree that the VA shouldn't be sitting into a situation where it's telling you what your legal obligation in a certain state is, because it's a little difficult. But on the other hand, I mean, this guy went to the VA, and he thought he was still at the VA. He had no way of knowing. You break it, you own it.
Yeah. That's
all right, rapid fire.
I just want to say, since we're done with the serious part, anything that makes Ashley kerfluffled and flummoxed at the same time,
that's a
big deal. Huge deal.
She's kerflummoxed.
I get so upset when I hear about stuff like this, because there is this huge push to continue to subcontract. And it's, at the disadvantage of the veteran whom we're communicating, we're receiving communications from the VA. Like, I myself as a disabled veteran who's just recently gone through, my appeal and sat through, the Board of Appeals and stuff. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And right. If you're going to trust the VA that you're going to, see a bona fide professional who's going to take care of you, and that's an integrity issue for me. Like, that's moving on.
Yeah. All I'm saying is you haven't used those words ever before in the podcast, so I knew that this ranked up there.
This one fired her up. It's
there.
She's getting very.
I challenge you both to use that in casual conversation sometime today.
I'm going to use kerflummoxed, because that gets them all.
Do we get like our? Oh, I like this. We can make up our own words.
All right, rapid fire. Rapid fire number 4 is less of a rapid fire and just kind of curious what you guys thought. The Wall Street Journal is announcing that the vaccine from Pfizer for COVID is on its way to America. And I actually read the story, and it was kind of interesting because it's coming from like the Netherlands, and it's like on a United Airlines flight, and they had to change the law on how much dry ice they could have on the airplane. But anyway, I mean, is this the beginning of the end? Can we finally look towards a day when we don't have to be socially distanced?
So,
well, I think you were kind of enjoying it, weren't you?
He already socially distances.
Here's the thing. Like, if we were actually socially distancing, I would love it because I like being alone. Unfortunately, I have more people in my house than are in my office at work. So I'm the opposite of social distance. Like, I'm thrown into my kids are high on Christmas tree fumes or something. I don't know. Thankfully, the elf on a shelf returned, and he's going to lay down some laws and say you're not being kind to each other and everything else. And I'm hoping that fixes it. But man, oh man, my kids are at that age. They're 5 and 3, and Christmas is all that. And Christmas. It's just huge. There's too much going on. Like, my whole house gives me anxiety. I need to socially distance from my house. So I am ready to get back to work. Not that I don't come to work now, but you get the idea. All right, guys. So shout out. What do you got, Ashley? Oh, yeah.
I thought I was like literally ready to make another comment.
She is.
Okay. Let's see. Shout out. Who do I want to shout out? Oh man. I'm going to shout out Post 180 in Vienna, Virginia, my post. I haven't given them a shout out in a while. And they're doing some awesome stuff. I'm always impressed with them. I'm trying to keep up, and hopefully when my class ends, I'll be able to now join meetings on Wednesdays. So I just want to say thank you to my posts and all my fellow Department of Virginia Legionnaires. Kudos.
Jeffrey, what's your shout out?
She stole mine.
Well, I mean, come on.
I stole Department of Virginia. You're gonna say
my post, my post thing, because I was feeling bad about it because I feel like I've used up all of my. Really, you're gonna shout out your own post passes, but we had some huge news, and I think it pairs well really with the 48 thing. I don't know if any of you are aware of the movie Tenet, but it had not played in Los Angeles anywhere to this point, and the DVD comes out on the 15th. And we've been struggling with our with our theater being closed and all that. But Tenet was approved. We're going to be the first. Our drive-in is going to be the first big screen in all of Los Angeles to play this movie, and we're going to be the only option for some amount of time. And we have a couple of guys, William Steele and Taylor Umpenhauer, who spearhead this whole thing. So I want to shout them out for that. And just stay tuned to HollywoodLegionTheater.org, because we have another blockbuster. It's but I can't say it, unfortunately, what it is. But it's coming, and it's going to be as soon as Tenet closes. This next one is coming, and I just feel like paired with something like the racing thing, these things really do get exposure out there to different audiences, because now they're promoting something called Hollywood Legion Theater. It doesn't even say 43 or anything. It's really about the entire Legion. So I just want to give a shout out to the guys who are working on it, and a shout out to our post for actually putting funds behind it and getting it done.
Yeah, my shout out's kind of a blanket one. It's to all the Legion posts out there who are doing stuff for the community, particularly people who are on hard times and can't get Christmas gifts for their kids. We read about posts all the time that are doing fundraisers and are giving out gifts. And this has been a tough year for everybody. It really has. And some of us, myself in particular, have been hit a lot less than other people. I still have a great job. I still have my family at home. I haven't really suffered all that bad. But there's people out there that don't have jobs, that don't know where their food's coming from. So my shout out is to all those Legion posts out there that are doing something for Christmas. We really do appreciate what you're doing. Remember, the American Legion is going to grow because of what we do outside the walls of the post, not inside the walls of the post. So that's it for me. What do you guys got coming up? Anything big? What are we doing for the rest of the weekend?
Weekend?
Yeah, I'm starting today. Like literally right after this.
Like right after?
Yeah.
What am I doing? I'm not a really I'm literally work until Saturday kind of gal. Sometimes I have to work on the weekends, but
well, I always have to do that, but at least I'm not gonna get up at
Christmas
6
stuff. I'm gonna put up holiday decor. I'm gonna get rid of my gourds and pumpkins and my cornucopia.
That was our Saturday. That was what we did Saturday. Went and got the tree and did all that stuff. Jeff, what do you got?
I'm totally doing that too, which means I'm going to Trader Joe's and buying a rosemary bush that they cut into the shape of a tree, and I'll throw one of my 2 ornaments on that bad boy and call that a day.
I'm gonna trim my
like a
beard.
Brown tree.
I have to trim my beard because I was finding food getting stuck in it and stuff. So we're gonna pare it down a little bit. Okay. Do you think I keep?
Are you gonna decorate it?
Do you think?
I'm not sure how I feel about the ponytail. I mean, it's very
it needs
hipster
more.
of
It
you.
needs like 3 or 4 of them, so it can be longer. But
you should I'm trying to think it's the Vikings that did
where it's got the little metal band. That's what I'm trying to do.
That's
but
cool.
I can only grow so fast here. I'm doing what I can.
You gotta take some vitamins.
When you don't actually have to come into the office, you can do stuff like this. But
just play around.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it for us.
Next one.
Remember, the best thing you can do for us is to download and share and comment and click and like and friend. I don't know. What am I missing, Jeff?
The S word, subscribe.
Subscribe, right. I know that my phone downloads our podcast automatically, so I don't know if...
Which means you subscribe.
See? Now, I don't actually listen to them because I don't want to hear myself if I can help it. I certainly don't want to see myself. And Holly says to rate. You need to rate us, too.
Yes.
I think the unwritten rule there is you need to rate us highly. Don't say that we suck. Yeah. So
she's been making appearances all episode. Elliot says rate us.
Very loving today. 5 stars. That's the only appropriate rating, according to super producer Holly, who's, I'm sure, loving us right now since we're already past 4 o'clock in the afternoon when we're typically done by 2. But anyway, everyone else, we will see you next week. Bye, guys.